Okay, so finally my project is finished, and now I'm going to show you what to do next. Some things I already did. I'm sorry, I'm adjusting camera also so that you could see an entire thing. So when you finish, I already unpinned my project. So when you finish with background netting, unpin your whole entire project. Make sure all pins are gone. After that, also unpin the fabric of our composition and then flip it. So we will need this right side of our composition, and we will need the right side of our composition that we crocheted. Here it is. So first pin the, actually you don't have to pin anything anymore. So just place your composition of fabric on which you draw the composition facing you, the right side, and now replace your composition that made in crochet back on your drawing part, and make sure that all of the motifs match their spot, that everything where it's supposed to be. Okay, so we're done. Now we have to take care of those motifs that are not attached, that I decided not to attach. And if you, for example, and here are our leaves, you see how they are. You see, I only attached them on the midrib, and the reason is that later they just, I can shape them the way I want, and they give that look of 3D also. If for some reason, like I skipped here, missed to connect to my leaf, I will have to attach to my background netting. Also here, this is fine, it will stay this way, but I will have to take care of some of my rosebuds that I didn't attach, and I will have to also attach my big rose. And make sure, move around your rose just a little bit to see which way you like it, a little bit like that or like that. And so when you're done, you unpinned everything. After that, I'm sorry, my phone. And you have to sew your motifs that are free for now. We have to sew them to the background netting. How to do that? I will show you in a minute. I probably will have to a little bit move my camera slightly so that you could see it well. Okay, for now I will take my big rose away, and I will show you only how to sew your motifs on one particular example, and the rest you will do exactly the same way. So first we decide where the motifs will go, which way, what part of the motif you want to show. That's probably going to be good. So you just have to play with that for a little bit. It will give you some time. After that, pick up the thread. You can attach it to the with the green thread or pink. So I probably will go first and pick up, first of all you will need a beading needle, the finest one, and you will need a thread. So I will get my green thread and cut small piece. You don't need a very long piece here, so cut something, thread the needle with the thread. I use the needle with a really big eyelet here, and it's a very interesting needle. I don't really know what is it used in beading, but it's quite easy to use this one. If I will, at this moment it's not easy. Not easy because I need a little bit more light, I think. Okay, so now I have my thread, and I will use just exactly the color that you will attach to the netting. If you will need to attach some pink, then you'll have to take pink color thread. So this is how it will be. I matched this motif with the drawing part right here. So this is where I want my rosebud to be. At first, attach your thread to the motif. Just weave it in. And when I weave it in, I just go and do it a couple times back and forth, as you already know how I do it always. Do it a few more times, just to make sure that your thread is well secured inside and will not come out. Then I will move back my thread to the middle of the place, right here somewhere, there. And so it is decided that this is what I will show. This part will be showing to the eye. This is what I will see. And I don't really worry about the petals at this point. First I have to attach my rose, and only later I will move and decide how to open my rosebud or not, how much I want to show. So I will move my thread with needle to the back, on the back. And make sure you're holding your, and it's okay sometimes, you know, to put it back again, just to make sure it's in the right spot. It's right there. This is where you want it to be, like that. And basically pick up your netting with a motif like this, like I do, like basically wrap the netting around the motif. And go and connect these pieces of sections of the netting to the motif. You don't need to do it a lot, but in few places, in few parts, like we will sew it here. And I will do it a few times. A few times is enough, because I will do it not in one spot only, but in few places. And if there are some stubborn places you cannot do anything and cannot move your needle in, just ignore that place, move to a different spot. You don't want to damage motif on the back, you don't want to damage anything with your work. And so on the back a little bit, on the bottom of the rosebud, then move, make sure it stays in here. And then we will move back to the top, right here somewhere, and attach petals there. And this is a good place to connect. Just make sure that you go through the motif and sew it to your netting in 3-4 places, and if it's not enough you can always come back and do it again in other few places if you need to. Be very gentle to your project. Thread is fine, your motifs are crocheted tight, you don't want to damage them. So this is a jewelry work, as I call. Very intricate and delicate job, so be patient here with your motifs. And at this point I will just check what I did. So look like this is what I want. And now I can go and open as much as I want of my rosebud. So here it is. I can open more, and even if I want to keep it the way it is, I can pin the area of the motif. Like for example, I want this rose very open here, for example, right? This petal go down. I will pin it through, steam it, or sew this part again with the thread that I crocheted with the petals. So there are a lot of possibilities to, you know, whatever you want to do with your rosebud. How much you want it to be open, how much you want those sepals to be spread out, or the opposite, just go like that, and you know, make sure that this rosebud actually kind of closed. So it's up to you to decide. So it seems to me I sewed it very tight and nice, and I don't need to do anything further. So I will weave in this piece of thread inside. Now I can pull the thread on the right side of work through the closest place here, and weave in thread again back into motif. Again, be very careful how to do that. I'm not sure I pick up a very good needle. I really like that eyelet, it's easy to insert the thread inside, but now I have problem with that particular needle to move it through the motif, because that spiral, this needle is spiral. Okay, so be very gentle here, make sure nothing is tight, that you didn't damage anywhere your background netting, that you didn't make it tight and shrink it. And I will continue weaving in. Now I can face it even the front of my motif. It does not matter. As soon as you're using the same thread, you can weave in facing your work in the right side and continue doing what you need to do. You will not see your thread at all as soon as you use the same color. So here it is. So now I can cut this piece of thread. My thread is weaved in. And the same exactly way I will attach this part, this motif with the color of this green. What else is here? Also we have this one, and the same way I will attach my big rose, exactly the same way. I will attach not to this, not to the stems, but to the netting itself. In 3 places will be enough, right here, right there, and in this place. But again, before you sew your motif to the netting, make sure that your motif in a spot you planned it to be. So put your composition that you crocheted on your drawing piece and work your way through by sewing everything together. And this is basically going to be almost finished project. But in the next video I will show you how to attach this applique to your fabric and a hoop.